Have you ever been somewhere and felt pressure to pay a tip that you didn't really feel was exactly deserved, but it's that pressure, right? They turn the tablet around, everybody looking at you, you're like, yo, you know what? Fine, take 20%. Right? But honestly, that's not really normal. And we kind of want to get into that because tipping culture in America has kind of hit a point that is like, yeah, it's time for a dialogue. So that's what we're here for. So let's get into it, bro.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a lot of times where that tablet turns around and I might be on a date or something. I'm like, yo, like I gotta impress her now. Now I gotta tip 25% because she's watching
Facts.
it. Not only is she watching, the person behind the person who's like switching the whole tablet, it's like, yo, now you're looking in my soul. So I know y'all have been there before. So we're gonna tackle all of this. Make sure you like this video because it will be entertaining, and you guys actually might learn a few things on why tipping might not actually be necessary. All right, so let's get right into it. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Right now, it says 30% of Americans say tipping culture is out of control. I would say I'm a part of that 30%, all right, as some businesses agree to scare tip prompts. So let's just, or scrap tip prompts. So let's get into that, right? Nearly 1/3 of Americans feel that tipping culture has gotten out of control. And it's a lot of tipping fatigue, okay? Because when you think about it, guys, we've been tipping for quite some time. Like, this is not anything new. In fact, tipping started at around 10% and went up to 15%. And then now it's hovering around 20, and some people are even going as high as 25%. So, Rel, like when you think about that, I know when you go out, like, have you seen the tip basically coming out? The check comes out and they show 18%, 20%, and then 22% as a suggested tip now?
Yeah, most definitely, bro. Like tipping 10%, like you said, that used to be the norm, and now that's
Hmm.
considered cheap. And then 15% became a norm, and now we seeing that 15 is considered like cheap. It's a
Yes,
cheap tip, and it's
yes.
crazy because that's the norm. So it's like, how much farther are we gonna keep pushing this norm, bro?
Yes, exactly. And it says right here, right? So these are all articles that we will put in the description below. And then what I want you to do is literally just Google tipping culture in America. And there's going to be a bunch of articles. We went through and picked the articles that make the most sense, but we want you guys to actually have to decide yourself. But it says in most cases, consumers, so people like us, face more opportunities to tip for a wider range of services than ever before. And this is also referred to as tip creep, right? But it says recent surveys have showed that shoppers are facing tip fatigue and starting to tip much less. So when I click on this, it actually is going to show you that, think about it. We talk about inflation all the time because inflation was going up. And this is actually extremely inflation times in 2022. It says that consumers were starting to tip a lot less because when you put so much pressure on the consumer to pay for the expenses of the restaurant, of the actual employees that work there, it's like, yo, do I really you have to tip? And then if you come even more down here, it says 2/3 of Americans have a negative view about tipping because the tips are starting to range from 15 to even 35% from each transaction. And 30% said that tipping has once again gotten out of control. So how
Bro,
do you feel about that?
bro, it's like, and especially people coming from other countries, because people don't
Hmm.
realize like tipping is not necessarily a global thing. Like
Nah.
a lot of that comes from America. That's a very American culture to do that. So I can't imagine an immigrant having to be paying like, what is this extra stuff I gotta pay? I thought the item cost $30. Like,
Yo.
you know what I mean? You got that going on, and then also just the marketing tactic of like
Hmm.
people don't see the genius in this. Like you're gonna get somebody to pay a higher tip if you actually provide more tipping options. So you might show them 15, 18, 22, 25, and people are going to try to kind of land in the middle somewhere and just
Hmm.
say, you know what, maybe I'll stick with 20. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Versus if you just show them one or two suggestions, they probably will fall short.
And that's why if you guys have noticed, a lot of these restaurants are literally making 20% smack in the middle. Like when the tablet switches, they know that most likely people are not going to do the cheapest. They're not going to do the most expensive. They're going to go straight down the middle. Most people are not hitting that no tip because the constant pressure that you feel. And once you ask them, no, that's not normal. In fact, what we're going to do is if you stay until the end of the video, what we're going to show you is different countries and how they go about their tipping process. And we're going to have a dialogue about basically, is this normal, how you can fix it, and what we think you guys should do, right? But here, just think about this, right? Just 65% of Americans always tip at restaurants. Okay, 65%. This is not an old article. This is actually coming out this year in July. So let's just go into it. What percent of the time do you tip? And this is showing you different industries. So, bro, I know you had a story about basically, I think barbers or like just hairdressers. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. So like, cause I have some women friends, right? And like one of my women friends, she was telling me about just her hair, and the lady that she goes to do her hair, she went from paying literally $50 per session to
Mm-hmm.
120. Like that's over an 100% inflation on your hair, and it's the same hairstyle that she's getting. The same hairstyle she was getting just a few years ago for $50 is now $120, which is insane. And it's like you still expect a tip with that. So
Mm-hmm.
she basically said like she's not tipping no more. What's the point? The tip is included in the 100% inflation. Like, come
Exactly,
on.
bro. And that's the thing. Like a lot of people, because I know it myself, right? Like right now, my hair is getting out of control. Like I get my hair cut every 10 to 14 days. It has to happen. And then I remember during COVID, you were literally paying $50 to $60 for a haircut. It was like, yo, that made no sense. And then people didn't let go of that. They started to stay there. I remember back in the day, like y'all might say we're old, like, yo, $20, that was a tip. That was like you literally got off the chair, you gave the guy 20, you were out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all it was. You didn't have
Man,
to worry about no tip.
bro, where I'm from, bro, I was paying $10 for my cut. I gave him a $2 tip and I was on my way, bro.
Yeah, you didn't have to worry. I'm telling y'all, man, this is not a thing. And this is the crazy part. Now, if you feel like you're in this percent, right? It says like some people actually, when ordering takeout, 35% never tip. And I think that's personally, I think that's okay because you are literally taking your time out of your day to go pick up the meals and people are still expecting tip. So America has definitely done this where they played the game of capitalism. And that's why this is very interesting, why the culture might be broke. So let's just talk about this, right? Is this normal? So the biggest thing that shocked me when we were doing a bunch of research on this is this piece. So tips, obviously, as we said, are not normal in other countries. However, just think about this. Under federal law, and this is in the United States of America, employers can pay workers as little as $2.13 per hour, much less than the minimum wage, if the tips they receive bring them up to a baseline salary, bro. And it says some states are now increasing the hourly minimum wage for tipped employees or eliminated tip wages altogether. So let's just pause for a second. $2.13 is allowed. Like it's a law. You can do that, which means, bro, to your point, people are probably actually doing that somewhere. Even though it's not cool, they're probably doing that.
Yeah, people are definitely doing that somewhere because once it's allowed, there's going to be some business owner out there who's making it a norm at his or her establishment. And I've actually been this myself. I used to deliver pizzas for Domino's. I used to deliver food for this restaurant that was family business owned from some family somewhere. I don't know them. I just work for them. And they were paying me less than minimum wage because they said I'm going to be getting tips. You know what I mean? And why do people settle for that? Because if you do deliver for a service or for a business like that, you actually get some solid tip money where it's actually going to be more than whatever minimum wage was at the time. That's how people settle for it.
Yeah, it's just wild to me because when you think about all this, like, bro, it's just insane. $2.30 an hour. I understand you might get tips and all that, but it's like, is that really going to be enough? Like, is that truly wholeheartedly enough? Because as we just saw, people are tipping less now. And it says for these workers, tips can boost wages by up to 25%. But it's like, how much does that 25% really mean? You know what I mean? Like, I could have $1 and I get 25% back. Okay, I have a quarter. You know what I mean? So it all depends. But let's just talk about it. Here's how much people tip around the world. So tipping in London, it says restaurants, 10% for pleasant or good services, moving towards 15% for exceptional services. The rule of thumb is to tip in cash. So London, yeah, you can tip, but it's for certain things. You don't always tip for everything. And that's London, which is pretty similar to how US might move. Okay,
Yeah.
So that's just one thing. Let's talk about Paris. It says that only leave a few euros if you thought service was very, very good. Americans often struggle with that, but there is no need to leave a tip. That's another country that you're seeing right here, bro.
I'm with Paris, bro. I don't like.
Oh, no, city. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm with Paris. I don't like tipping if I feel like the service wasn't fire. You know what I'm saying? There's people with attitude problems and stuff expecting a tip. Like
Hmm.
you're wilding. You're wilding.
Bro, that's another thing. Look, Italy right here. There's no need to tip anyone for anything in Italy. A 10% tip for exceptional service should be the top of the range. Because in these countries, as you're seeing all over right now, we're going to keep on going. Like Greece is another thing. It's appropriate to only tip up to 5%. Some people actually think it's weird if you tip too much because, like, why are you giving me this money before? When I was just traveling to Colombia, it was insane because we would leave some money, right? And we just leave it at the restaurant. We come back and people will look at you like, what are you doing sometimes? Because they're not accustomed to that. At the end of the day, they're getting paid what they're supposed to be getting paid because the actual meals are priced properly. Their employer is the one taking care of them, not the consumer. It's not on us to take care of you. In other countries, it's all over the world. It's not customary to tip unless drivers help with bags or provide exceptional service. I remember when we went to Jamaica, bro, like the driver came out and he was like, "You're not going to tip me?" And I was like, "I got you, bro. I got you." Because they know, they could tell you're from America. And
Yep.
that's why the culture of tipping is essentially broken in this country. So we
Yeah.
know what we got used to. So now let's talk about it. Like, how can we fix this? Or do you have any ideas? Like, what do you think?
It's tough, man. It's tough because if restaurants start to say, you know what, we're not going to rely on the customers to tip our workers, we're going to pay
Hmm.
our workers appropriately. What does that mean? If they do, they're going to start increasing their food prices. If we're talking
Hmm.
about food, for example, let's just use food as an example. Okay, but then there's another restaurant down the street that says, no, we're going to keep our food low so the customers feel like they're getting a deal. And then our workers do what? Get less than minimum wage. And we're going to leave the customers to pay our workers that gap.
Yeah.
And so now me as a customer, now I have two choices, restaurant one and two. Restaurant one, I'm
Hmm.
paying higher food prices. And
Yep.
to be honest, because of the culture in America, I'm still gonna feel pressured to tip, even with higher food prices. So that's why most restaurant owners, I feel, just say, you know what, let me just stick with paying my workers less than minimum wage. Because no matter what, my customers are still going to tip my workers no matter what because of the pressure. Most people don't have the I don't know if we use confidence, but just use, for lack of a better word, confidence to say,
Hmm.
no, I'm not going to tip you. I feel like this food is enough. I'm not going to tip you. People going to
Yeah.
tip regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's definitely one side of it, right? I hear that side too, because as we said, the culture is broken. At this point, we're going towards 30%. I was just out because I'm in Cali right now, and I was literally just getting food with one of our friends that we grew up with, and bro, like they were saying 25%, and I was like, this is wild. Like now we're in
Yeah.
25%, right? So it goes up, but I would say, like my man's right here, he's asking for a tip, right? You see what he's doing, and I'm like, bro, just hold up. What I would do personally is, I think as what we should be doing is you could increase the prices a little bit for your service. So for example, like if I'm ordering at a diner and I'm like, yo, this omelet and coffee and everything is $20, I wouldn't mind if they charge me an extra $3-4, and I know that's going towards like the actual tip itself. Like the restaurant could take a dollar or two, and the extra $3 could go towards the actual server. And I think I'm okay with that simply because, like, at the end of the day, I'm not coming out and I know I'm not providing for the actual waiter or waitress. Like, I'm not doing that, right? I think it makes more sense. Just it's simply take care of your own employees. I just think it's ridiculous how you could say $2.13 is wild. Like when we were at camp, this is going way back in the day. I was at camp, I was working, we got paid like $5 an hour, bro. It was insane. But they gave us free food, and since we got free food and we got tips from the person, like the parents, right, for their kids, it was allowed. However, this is like from personal experience. I didn't get a lot of tips because I was a specialist. Like I wasn't the one really taking care of all the kids. So I got paid less, but I didn't get my tips, and I was struggling. So there's also that side of things where it's like you don't always get the tips. And as we see, data is also showing like tips are going down in certain industries. So it's like
Yeah.
just take care of your people.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel like even in the data, it's showing like tips are going down, but I think it's still higher than what it used to be at the same time. So then it's
Hmm.
like it's still high. It's like you're coming down from all-time highs, and
Yeah.
you're settling in the, let's say, 20% area, which is still a lot compared to what it used to be. It used to be
Hmm.
10, now it's double. Like so, like even as a worker, I think as a worker, you still are gonna kind of have to say like, which restaurant do I'm gonna work at? The one that's gonna
Hmm.
pay me the standard minimum wage, or am I going to work at the one with less minimum wage, but I know the tip money there is valid, to where tip money is going to make up that deficit. So now, as an owner, you might have people that don't want to work for you unless you do the less than minimum wage, but I let you keep all your tips incentive.
That's also true. I think at the end of the day, like, another thing that you're definitely right is, I just thought about, like, countries. You guys can mimic other countries' models. Like, if there's a law that we could pay 213, why don't we just make a law to pay employees minimum wage and tips will go away, because we're saying tips are not required anymore.
Facts.
Right? That could be a law that we can implement, but we won't, because at the end of the day, we're capitalists. Like, at the end of the day, like, that's really what it is. It's steps for capitalism. So we wanted to bring this to you guys, because I know we're personally frustrated with tips, but we don't think you need to tip if the prices have been increasing because you're taking that home. You're not really paying your people. So that's just an idea behind it. But let us know what you guys think, right? If you guys start watching, we definitely appreciate you. Thank you for watching. And make sure you hit the like button, because it helps the channel a lot. Make sure you comment your thoughts and let us know what you think about tip culture. And subscribe to the channel. Plus, hit that little notification bell, because we drop
2 videos a week.
And you don't want to miss them, man. Check us out on Wednesday. But until then, peace.
Peace.
Soundstripe.